Hi.
Hi, welcome back to another episode from us. Again, here we are. We are really running into summer now, and we thought we would come with some easy wins of how to stay on track during summer, didn't we now?
Yes. Yeah, mostly you wanted to talk about protein and practical things, and I went down the road of protect your boundaries and say no, and you don't owe your energy to anybody, and it's your priorities and all of that. So we'll between the two of us, I'm sure we'll have most of the
Cool.
bases covered. It is though that overwhelm, don't you think? The sociability, that kind of holiday vibe picks up a little bit, and there's a lot of should. You feel like you
Yeah.
should. That you're not making the most of it unless you're at the barbecue eating everything, or you're going off to Glyndebourne having the full 7 course picnic, or you're doing there's I think the English particularly, we get very like that. The British are very sort of the weather is, so therefore we eat to the season. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
I
There's a
think
lot of
also there's a little bit of, is this finite time? Is this amount of weeks? It will only be summer for today. So therefore,
Yes. And although on the one hand, I get a lot of, oh, it's much easier to drink my water. Great. It's also much easier to, eat the potato salad at the barbecue
yes.
and all of the picky bits at the picnic and all of the dinners out, or sometimes it's the vibe, it's the atmosphere, it's the being able to, the being able to sit outside in a pub garden. Like I would never take that away from you. Like my job, we're here to support you, but pick the one. That would be
Yeah.
my opening gambit. Pick the one that's really important to you and remind yourself that a treat is an occasion for a reason. It's not, just, a non-stop onslaught so then you can diet harder later, because we're not doing the all or nothing. Remember, we're doing the diffused grey area in the middle. We're finding the balance and we're practicing the skills that are involved in that, because there's a lot out there of, just do a bit less of this and just do that, just moderation, as if just makes it easy. But the practicing the skills involved. So absolutely, when things come up, we will make the best of it. And we'll make always best choices to be made. Don't avoid these things, but also don't feel so defeated by them that you feel like, well, I've fluffed it now, so I've ruined it, so I may as well, and write off the rest of the summer. It is about protecting your energy and your boundaries, and making make so that when your head hits the pillow, you've shown up for yourself. It's not about assertion, it's not aggressive. You don't have to throw a big tantrum and say, well, I can't do any of it, so I may as well. Because, you diet too hard and you isolate yourself like that, you're sure to fail as well. So it's all about morale, isn't it? So yes, the top tips for summer go a little bit more than, just drink your water and just. In fact, let's just try and just avoid the word just, shall we?
Yes. Just just try to avoid the words just.
Just
Yeah.
want it badly enough.
Yeah.
Job's a good one.
And I think it is that thing. Summer really is about keeping your confidence up, realizing that you're in control and you get to make choices. And
Oh,
whatever those choices happen to be, intentional choices is really the place that we find ourselves in more, especially when we've got more sociability during summer. We're seeing more people with opinions on things. And it is about all the kids have had a 99. Do I want to join in now? And if I do, I don't really need the 99. I could get the Clippo and that would actually fit in fine.
it was
You know,
almost like you were with me
making
at the
those
English Heritage
choices.
outing last week.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And
It's
what did the
looking at the
children end up
menus.
wanting? What did I mean, fully grown teenage boys, what did they end up wanting? They ended up wanting to share my cold, refreshing Calippo,
Yes,
rather than their melty magnums.
I know.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is those things. And I think sometimes we shy away from that and we panic a bit and we go, well, there's just nothing to be done. I've got 3 things this week. And we've given up before we started rather than coming to your appointment or messaging us, chatting it through and us going, well, let's look at the menu. Oh, there are like 3 things in there you could do. Well, actually, yes, you've got 3 days out, but only one of them involves food. So we don't need to worry. This is what we can do and this is what we can say. And suddenly you feel back in control again. It's because you
Absolutely.
want
It's
the
that
comfort.
that support with that overwhelm of the executive function is
Yeah.
there's too many choices here. I thought I was just going to come along and do soul source and that was going to magically make all of that go away. And for when it's the right answer, the relief is enormous. It feels very, very liberating, doesn't it? But there are times of the year where it does just become a let's stay in the game, and you think you're just about surviving driving, but you really underestimate in real time how much the opportunity to practice those skills and that learning improves your morale. So that when life does calm down a bit and allows you an opportunity to have a clear run at, you know, your lower step, then that every kind of compromise, it wasn't just worth it in the moment, but it stood you in really good stead. And from that we can really start working on that all or nothing, because that's the key to maintenance, to doing it
Yes.
once, doing it well. It doesn't always feel like it, because it feels like you're making compromise after compromise after compromise. And that's where I go right back to where I started, which is it's about morale, but it's about protecting your energy and discriminating your, you know, really honing in on your priorities. You know, I want you coming into your appointments and going, hold my hands up. That was absolutely worth it. And I would do it again. We were out all day. I didn't have the full, you know, the full sit down lunch. I didn't at any point go, oh, well, it's just not worth it then. I had the Calippo, you know, I did my 10,000 steps around Dover Castle and I felt good about it. You know, I wasn't sluggish. You know, I was able to stay on plan absolutely the next day. And it was one in there, and it did my morale the world of good, because I stayed in the game, I showed up for myself, all of those things. Can I also just in that day, the linchpin was pop squares. That's the answer, by the way. As if on cue, if you're only listening to us, Heidi just lifted up a bag of pop squares. I mean, they're not a meal replacement, but they're a protein boost. And when
Yes.
we're doing said 10,000 steps and everybody is having their treats left, right, and centre, the pop
These are
squares.
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, even
Yeah.
at Cranbourne, I would absolutely be there with my pop squares.
Yes, they're 100 calories. They're a snack. And you get a lot in them, way more than other products that are out there on the marketplace. The macros are better because they're made with pea protein and they're
Yes,
made
and
with butter
because
with
they're so
plant.
satiating, that feeling of fullness really boosts your morale, because then
Yes.
you don't get that gnawing sense of like hunger or psychological hunger where you're missing out. I feel like I'm missing out. So they're a really good, they're more than just a decoy, aren't they? You know.
Yeah, they're good to have kind of in your bag if you're out for a long day, because there's always those times where we get caught out, aren't there? And we're like, oh God, I didn't put enough in. I didn't know we were staying out this long. I didn't know that the
There's
traffic
a
was going to be this
huge amount of
bad.
that in the summer. It is that spontaneity means that we didn't know, we thought we were just going out for lunch, but actually we ended up well into the evening in the pub garden or at the beach or wherever it is. That's exactly right. And that can really dent morale, because you thought you'd mitigated this, you thought you'd planned for it. But the nice weather does mean that we are more spontaneous and we don't want to have to hide away, and you shouldn't have to. The pop squares are a really good example of step up, don't step off. You know,
Yes.
there's always best choices to be made, and sometimes that need to do the all or nothing is comes from that sole source or bust, double or nothing. You know, it really is very unhelpful. So we will start trying to break it down as much as possible, although sometimes I think when you're not in a great place, your relationship with food is still really quite sticky. What you can hear when Heidi and I talk about this stuff is, oh, they're just not doing it properly. They just don't, they're not hardcore enough. They're not doing it, like, 10-day hard. It's like, why are we even making it hard? Why are we
It
pitching it?
doesn't need to be hard.
Why
I
does
don't
it
want to
need
do hard
to be?
things.
Yeah.
When I did my July challenge, I said to all my siblings, I said, it's called a challenge because I can't think of another word instead of challenge that tells you what it is, but it's not a challenge. It's not
But the
hard.
challenge, the challenge is reflective of the sense of achievement.
Yes.
But it's not kind of like pitching it like it's a
No.
it's a do or die, all or quits kind of, fail or pass kind of
Yes.
arrangement. When we talk about making compromises and best choices, it is not in the name of, stringing this out. If only you could have done it properly, because doing it like that is just kind of, it's coming third. Well, if you're all right with that, not remotely, because the real winners are the people who are still on plan, who are
Yes.
learning about themselves, who are recognizing their triggers, who are learning to, what are the alternatives? What are the decoys? What are the insteads of? It's like mothers-in-law. You don't have more than, it's not plural. Mothers-in-laws. Which way does the S go? Don't know.
I don't know, but you might have plural of them. Depends how many times you've been married and whether you like that family or
Well,
not.
yeah, you might be lucky enough to have more than one mothers-in-laws. But you don't have to, the decisions are your ability to pivot and
Yes.
change and access that strength to make those discretionary choices in the moment. You can only plan for so much. You
Yes, because
can't know
life is busy.
everything. So the
Yeah.
skill, the practice is in what to do when you're caught off guard. It was all going so well until this unexpected thing came along. It's knowing what to do there, and that is practice. Nobody likes hearing that, but it's having a consultant like Heidi or I in your back pocket.
Yes.
Because you suddenly find yourself out longer than you thought, then we'll look at the menu with you. We will make those best choices. They're little compromises along the way that give you the confidence to know you can still be doing this next month, going all the way, getting the second stone or the third stone or the fourth or fifth. And it is that confidence in that morale boost in the longevity and the sustainability of this. It's not a one-hit wonder. Go as hard as you can until you just run out of steam. Well, that was all right while it lasted, but it didn't get me where, I really wanted to be because you deserve that.
Well, and also that kind of over perfectionist mindset where we are so motivated, we just want to get it done as quick as possible. I can do this, it'll be fine, I'll be perfect 100%. The minute that plans change, rather than coming to us and saying, oh, I know you said we could do that, right? So could you help me work this out? Or this is happening now and I wasn't expecting it. You just go, oh God, that wasn't my plan. And you just
Yeah.
stop dead and
I
you
mean, it happens
don't
with
know how to
simple,
move forwards.
yeah, it happens with a head cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens with the simplest of things that we weren't expecting, let alone some, of the sort of bigger, more cortisol inducing, stressful things. When stuff happens, it is the practice, the skill is in the ability to not sell yourself completely downriver because of it. And that's sometimes why you might hear in some of our discussions on this podcast quite combative language about sort of standing up for yourself and fighting back. And I don't mean that literally pitching yourself against other people in your life, but it's about all of it, about those sort of circumstances that have you feeling like it would just be easier to not right now, to just let myself off the hook and just, not think about it. That is the same as throwing yourself overboard to do everything for everybody else and tick everybody else's boxes and then circle back round to your own needs. I had a conversation this morning with a slimmer who's lost 4.5 stone, and her little one is just up and walking now, and she has an older one off school at the moment. And we just had a very simple conversation about the ability to chase after them both and be able to run around and not be so hot and fatigued and put 4.5 stones worth of stuff in a couple of bags for life and do a few reps around the garden and see how it feels if you ever need a reminder of how liberating it can feel to not have the physical weight but also all the stresses and strains of that extra responsibility.
Yes.
What matters is you and how you feel, and learning how to deal with that is a big part of what we're doing here. Whether you know that or not, it doesn't have to always feel like you're making huge breakthroughs. Sometimes it is about making it through a summer day, which
Yeah.
could have otherwise gone horribly wrong.
I had a chat with a slimmer this week who was going for coffee with a friend, and she's like, they're going to ask me if I want coke. They're going to ask me this. I don't want at this point to tell them I'm doing this right now because I just don't have I just don't feel it would be helpful and they wouldn't be helpful. And I was like, that's totally fine. You don't have to say no. We will come up with strategies and solutions, what you're going to do, what you can say that won't show up any red flags. It's
Mm.
totally acceptable to say these things. People then move on. Don't worry about it. Oh
Yes,
no,
I would
I've got
like to
dinner
be one of
later.
the
I can't possibly have something now. I had a big breakfast. I'm really not full. Oh, it's too hot. I couldn't eat.
or
No one says anything.
sometimes we need to build those bridges until
Yeah.
we can become the kind of person, with the person who says no thank you. Because
Yes.
we see when you're struggling with
It's like a
obesity,
little kind of pebbles down the line.
yeah,
You're not all at the start, you're not going to say, no, I'm great, thanks. You're going to need a little crutch to get you to that point
yeah.
because it's really hard to change those neural pathways over time and change those habits and the relationships we have and all of those things.
Yeah,
It's
and
really difficult.
change is challenging. We that it's not necessarily the diet, it's the behavior and everybody
Yeah.
in our lives. And you always did say yes, so what's the change? A really interesting conversation with a slimmer of mine who is tall and broad, and he reads as a big chap, always has done, weight regardless, sort of thing. And he was eating out recently and finding that boundaries are much more difficult when you are clearly a big person. When you are clearly a bigger person, you look like the kind of person that enjoys cake. So
Yes.
you saying no is somehow unacceptable and gets pushed back on. Are you sure? But you like this one, but you did before, but you clearly, and that's the subtlety, and that's the kind of microaggressions that I think obese people struggle with all the time. Is but you look like a girl that likes a slice of cake, and
Well,
when
and
you lose the
also,
weight, no, thank you. It's much more convincing. I think it is as pernicious and subtle as that. I don't look so much like I enjoy cake as I used to, so no, thank you. I'll just have the coffee. All right then. And somehow no means no then in a way that it doesn't. And as he's been losing weight, that is something that he identified that I personally also really, it really resonated when he said all of this to me. So it's not about being combative. It's about being having that backup from us to navigate those
yes,
situations. Because one day your client will go to that coffee morning and no thank you will suffice. But
yes.
maybe not right now. So it's practice.
Yeah, it's all of those things, isn't it? It's more about the practicalities of making sure that you are in a place where you feel like you can make those choices
Yeah.
in a way that you can deal with right now. That is acceptable within the dynamic that you exist in your family or with your friendships, because we all fall into roles, you know. We all have the friend who we went for cake with, who basically you're only having cake if the other one says yes, right? And we fulfill those roles for people, and when that changes, it puts everyone on the back foot a little bit. So it's how to navigate some of those things early doors that fit in with those roles and those dynamics that we are familiar with, that we
Yeah.
don't feel like we're making too much of a big deal, we're pushing our way in. We should be able to prioritize ourselves, but in the beginning it all feels a little bit like, I just want to hide, and it'll be easier to say no. But actually practicing those things and building it over time and finding our confidence with it and being able to actively make those choices and realize everything was fine the next day. I did just
Yeah.
carry on actually.
Yeah, and we
And
do, you're right,
it
we
was
do all
all
have that friend,
right.
like, that rather sort of enabling friend who, like, and we are that friend. We do
Yes,
be
we're
that
all
friend.
this,
If we're
like, it's
going, if
human
I'm going,
nature.
yeah, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me, right?
Yeah,
But again, if you think about the kind of similarities there, we also do it with, we've also historically done it a lot with drinking. That peer pressure of I only will if you will. It's also smoking.
yeah.
It happens, that sort of tribalism that happens. And so it can feel very pressured when you feel like you are breaking those unwritten rules, or you are pulling rank on the kind of unwritten, but if I will, then you will, and you will, and I will, and that makes it okay to do. Suddenly it can make you feel exceptional. And we don't want to
Well, and
feel,
like you're stopping the other person. Like, if I don't have it, then you're not going to have it, and that's going to ruin your day, and it's all
yes,
my responsibility suddenly. When that's
absolutely.
not
It's the
true,
over,
but it's how it sometimes gets you, isn't it?
right, it's the taking on too much responsibility, and that's another whole podcast in itself of,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
but she made it specially for me because she knows I like it and I don't,
That's
it,
a whole episode in itself.
yeah, well, we're mothers as in-laws
Yeah.
is, that's it. It changed is demanding, whether you want to call it hard or a challenge or change is what we find can trigger a lot of thought-provoking discussions. It's not plan. It's not that the weight loss itself can be made really quite straightforward. That can become the formality. It is the ability to roll with the punches and the changes and the evolution of things and the identity shift in, but I am the friend who, I am the daughter-in-law that always, that, dot, dot, dot. And I think that the one-to-one is exceptionally good at giving you that space to unpack some of that, which isn't other people's experience. That's not the bit that they struggle with. They struggle with, the big group of friends that always, but a lot of these tropes exist because we are tribal. And,
Yes.
and that is also why we take it so personally that we think that, everybody else can do these things and it's just me. Do you feel like
Well,
that?
and
But
yeah, and we also then
why am
think,
I the one
well,
who's now racking up to 18
yeah.
stone when, we've all done this and they're not like that and they're not like that. And that can lead to an awful lot of isolation as well. So,
Well, and it convinces you that if it all is me, then I can just be perfect for 3 months, right? Because
and
it's
then I'll
just
be like
me.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a meander. It was a really interesting conversation. I hope you, you thought it is
We
really
always start these conversations though. We always think we're going to talk about one thing, but actually everything is so linked. And me and Nell find should be no shock to you. We find these things fascinating, and we're very
yeah.
passionate about how those neural pathways work, how those relationship dynamics change, and how we can move that positively and
And
easily forward over time.
it's double-sided. It's one, it's not just you.
Mm.
A lot of people are struggling with this stuff, but the specifics of it, that is just you, and you deserve the personal space in which to kind of work through some of those things. Let me just reassure you that a few really good wins over summer and the somewhere dedicated where you can go and pour praise on them, talk about them, celebrate them. Don't dismiss them like they're no big deal. Oh, like, well, that's only what I should be able. It's what Katie and Sarah can do anyway. It's something that I lack. Don't turn that positivity and that real win and that breakthrough into. Don't dismiss it as something that you should have just been able to do anyway. We are, just like Heidi just said, we are forming new pathways here. We are breaking new ground. This is new territory for you, and you deserve to be able to really celebrate it. In fact, you really need to be encouraged to celebrate those wins, because your default pathway is to just look at the negative, just keep harping on about what's gone wrong. Stop it. We really need time and space to pour glory on those wins, because on a wet Wednesday, come the end of summer, when the clocks have changed, we're going to need a whole stack, we're going to need a whole dossier of all those times that it will look, well, look, I did that in the summer. And that went really well. And that was fantastic. That was a win. And actually, I didn't think I could do that before. But look at all of this. Well, council tax bill. Look at all the times that I did. So, that needs to be done with great confidence, in a place where you feel supported to do that.
Yeah,
It's, can I just say for the millionth time, it has absolutely all to do with the amount of calories you just ate. Nothing Heidi and I have said is about food, and it is the relationship with self. But you're going to need that come October, to remind yourself that you jolly well can. You really, really
yes,
can. And in the midst of time, you will, that is what you will come to believe.
exactly.
If we
And
do
so,
that whilst getting the numbers down, then even
and
better.
that is what most people tend to prove to themselves over summer. They start summer going, sure, I don't know how this is going to go. There's a lot of things going on. And actually, over time, we find ways to strategize some of those things to come out the other side with a win, and the ability to keep going at the end of summer go, oh, I did lose weight. I did move the needle. That was all right. And I got to do all this other stuff as well. And it was all, oh, interesting.
I love the way
It's
you're going, oh, because it's so true. It's hindsight is a beautiful thing.
yeah.
You look back at those 6 weeks and you go, oh, I did much better than I thought I did
And your
in real
confidence in
time.
yourself comes back. And
It's like we
that's what we're
can't
trying to
judge it.
do.
We can't judge
Yeah.
ourselves in real time either,
No.
especially when left unsupervised, because we will only harp on with ourselves about all the things that went wrong, all the things we can't do, all the things we wish we should have done better. So when I talk about protecting your energy and standing up for yourself, 9 times out of 10, it's against it's standing up to yourself.
Yes. It's
Uh,
us reminding you.
yeah.
It's when people come and they go, so this is what happened. And they tell you a lot of really good things that happened. And then at the end they go, but, and they tell you this one thing that didn't go particularly well. And that's, so the whole week was a failure. And I go, let's just go back to the list of the 10 things at the beginning that you did
They
that will
dis
make a big difference.
Exactly. They dismiss 90%, and
Yeah.
by going, well, it's been a dreadful week. Monday to Friday was absolutely perfect. I was on plan, nothing, no problems at all. But then this one thing happened, and it's like, I'm sorry. So the takeaway there is that the whole week was an absolute
Yeah.
write-off, and it was. But we can't
We
process
can't
our
do it for
own
ourselves. We can't be objective for ourselves.
nonsense in real time
Yeah.
either. So sometimes, that very woolly, and I am an evidence-based girl. So but the very woolly trust the plan, trust the process is a huge relinquishment of, and there, a lot of us really don't like that. But you do have to trust the advice that you're being given, to see it play out, to then look back at the end of that and say, actually, July wasn't all ruined. And maybe is, the beginning of August now that we're talking through this, maybe there is hope for me yet. But I might not be able to see it until September. Again, when, it doesn't have to be constant, but when you have that regular précis, that kind of check-in, you can look at the, and the net result is the scales have gone down, the confidence is going up. There's a sweet spot in there somewhere that we're starting
Yeah.
to figure out.
And that's the magic when it all starts working together. And that's why your one-to-one appointments are so important. And that is why, we love having one-to-one clients and doing it this way, because like Nell says, the experience in general happens for a lot of people, but making it work for you in your specific circumstances, your specific life, that is what we're bringing to the table in that discussion with you, and that working out what can work best with you around all of the things that you have going on right now, which isn't the same as everybody else.
No, but whether it's a kid's birthday party, another outing to, the play park, or going to, the proms, like it doesn't matter what the, like it's fascinating to see the nature of the struggle, no matter where people are or what they're doing, the way that we can overestimate our responsibility in that. And I would hate for anybody to avoid any of those meaningful things for them in
Yes.
summer. But that, again, it's not well, I may as well not bother then. A lot of gearing up for September. I'll just get, don't live the rest of your life just getting things out of the way. You deserve to be able to extract every moment of joy out of these occasions. And if feeling more confident, more centered, more congruent in your body so that the outside is matching the inside, if that will get you there and make you feel more confident, you'll be able to get even more out of your life. And so many of us that have struggled with obesity know how limiting it can be. Because, I don't
Yes.
want to be standing up for hours on end. I can't get the standing up tickets because they're cheaper. I can't afford the sitting down ones, but I know that my back will hurt if I do that. Or I want to be able to go on the bike ride with them, but I know that I won't. Yeah, it holds us back and makes us avoidant. And so, whatever plan you're on, learning a bit of the nuts and bolts is what's required. But I tell you that what's on the other side is so much better, and you are so worth the effort that we're describing. So, like Heidi said, challenge is the only word that we can really think of. We can't predict all of them what they'll be, but we'll figure them out. I promise you, it is worth it.
Exactly. And don't just say no to everything, because
Mm.
if you are somebody that's had a weight issue for some time, you say no to everything already. We've been saying no to everything for years because we don't feel we can do the thing. We don't want to go outside in the hot weather and have to wear the
And
car.
we tell ourselves whilst we're saying no, but next year I'll be able to do all of it
Do it.
because next year I'll be
Start
thin.
saying yes. We will figure it out. You will feel better for it, and it will move you to a more positive place.
Absolutely.
Don't.
Take the pressure off all this being perfect. Because I
Yeah.
tell you what, this time next year, you're not going to be thin and you're not going to be perfect. You will be thin, but you will have come to terms with the fact that you're not an automaton and you
No,
don't
it's
have
very
to be
disappointing to
perfect.
find out we're human and we're not perfect. When
Oh,
humans
I
are not perfect,
know. I
very
know. I think we
disappointing.
started off this with like the top 10 tips for summer and then we ended up going
We
all,
end up just telling you all the things.
all
But
existential.
if you're also sitting there going, yeah, but I was doing September because of all this stuff, don't do that to yourself. You put things off long enough. You've said no to enough things. Put yourself a little bit higher up the list. Come have a chat with either me or Nell, and let's work out a plan that moves you to a more positive place, so that come September you can go, I never thought I'd be able to do summer, and look at me now. And you
Mm.
could get that confidence back, and spend some lovely time with friends and having a life, because this is about freedom. It is about being able to do the things you want to do, and not all of that overwhelm and the weight and everything that goes into it holding you back from doing what
Yeah.
you want for your life. That's the aim of the game.
Well said. You deserve to be there
Yes, you
now.
do.
You deserve to enjoy it now. The fact that you might enjoy it a bit more when you have a bit more physical freedom, when you've lost a bit of weight, but don't wait until you're slimmer to enjoy your life
No.
because there is enjoyment up off the plate. That's one of my favorite phrases that take your eyes up off the plate.
Yes.
Go for the
I
banter.
say to my slimmers when they go, I've got this meal out, and I go, could we just remind you that you're going for a meal with your friends? That's
Yes.
the point of it.
Yeah,
We will make a
exactly. Go
plan
for
around
the
the food, but don't let it consume you.
No, go for the chat, go for the music, go for the gig, go for the sunset, go for the I was going to say skinny dip. Go and have fun.
Oh,
Don't, you know, just remember, take your eyes up off the plate this summer.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us again this week. Please like and subscribe. We will see you next Monday. Goodbye.
Bye.